And I could really go on and on and on. I've been sent many of them. Here, I'll do one more. Hey, Art, here is a true story about my cousin and her son. At the time, my cousin's bedroom was upstairs while the son's was in the basement. One night, the son was having a dream, during which he walked upstairs, entered his parents' bedroom, saw his parents covered in blood. And when he looked down, a gun was in his hands. At the very same time, my cousin was having a dream in which she dreamed her son was coming in her bedroom and shooting her and her husband. That dream scared her so badly, she woke up, headed down the stairs to her son. Guess what? She met him coming up the stairs, no gun in his hands, but both were scared and fell down crying in each other's arms. A gun was kept upstairs, and the son knew where it was. Was something driving him toward the gun? Was something protecting the family? Your guess is as good as mine. Dennis in Kansas City, can you imagine that? A mother and a son having an identical dream of murder that came that close to consummating. You tell me what that is. So that is the spirit of it, if you will. And if you have a ghost story that you would like to share with the rest of the nation, we would love to hear it. And again, all I ask is that as I approach it, you too approach it in a serious vein, because this is a very serious subject. And this is the annual show we call Ghost to Ghost. So if you have a ghost story for us, pick your line and come ahead now. Here we go. Let's see what we can find throughout the night hours, the dark hours. East of the Rockies, you're on Ghost to Ghost AM. Hello there. No, you're not. Wildcard line, you're on the air, Ghost to Ghost AM.
Hi, Art. This is David in Bakersfield.
Hi, David.
True story, 1984. It was around 84. I went down to Long Beach to visit my friend. She was at USC in pre-med. And while I was down there, she took me on a tour of the Queen Mary.
Oh, yes.
And I had never been to the Queen Mary and just had, seen it in movies and stuff, never heard anything about it before at all. So we go on the tour, and when I go into museums or things like that, I always go where you're not supposed to go. So I got her and I said, let's go over the little rope railing, and we went down. And down at the bottom of the boat is a swimming pool, but it was empty. And you go down the stairs, and we were down there, and Brenda's the type of girl that she's a doctor now, and she's very scientific and never believed in God, never believed in anything you couldn't see. And I had always been the kind of the psychic one, if you know what I mean. And I didn't feel a thing. And we walked down to the pool, and she stopped and she said, I feel strange. I feel something weird. And that was very strange for her to even think that, let alone say it. That's something that I would say.
Right.
So we go down, and we're just walking around the pool, and we look up, and there's a catwalk up there, a balcony, and there is a man in coveralls, blue coveralls, with red hair and a red beard, and he's just walking there. And I thought, now we're in trouble, because we're not supposed to be down here.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of just waved and said hi, and he just kept staring straight and just was walking. And I thought, well, okay, great, maybe he didn't see us. So I grabbed her, and we hid around the post there. And I peeked right around the corner. He was in the middle of the catwalk, so it's long, and I peeked right back around. The guy was totally gone. About a year later, I'm watching some special on TV about the Queen Mary, and they had some actor portraying this certain spirit, and it was the exact same guy that they had described it. He was crushed to death or something.
Yes.
And I called her up and I said, turn on the TV. The guy who disappeared on this is him.
There he is. All right. Thank you very much for that. Well, exactly. So he proves my point. You see, people, souls, maybe we ought to call them souls, who are abruptly terminated when even they don't expect it, don't seem able to find their way to where they ought to be going. Instead, they remain, or seem to remain, acting out as if from the damned, this surprising end to their life, like a big tape loop. I guess all we can hope for them is that it's not really them, that it's some sort of weak echo of an unexpected death. First time caller line, you're on the air. Hi.
Hey, Art.
Hello.
This is Fred from South Pasadena.
Yes, Fred.
Hey, I have a great ghost story.
Let her rip.
Scared the heck out of me. When I was about 18, I moved to Ravenna, Ohio. And I moved in with some people who told me, the lady told me she'd been a witch for some time, and Ravenna was where all the real witches from Salem moved to.
Okay.
And,
I mean, it's not every day that somebody admits to you, I'm a witch.
Yeah. And she told me some things that scared me. She told me a lot of things about things that happened to me when I was a kid, so it was very strange. She's a nice person.
She knew about you.
Yes, she did.
Okay.
And, but she said, a lot of weird things happened there. All the real witches of Salem had moved to Ravenna, Ohio. And, but...
Why Ravenna, Ohio?
She never told me that. But there were weird things that happened there.
Like what?
Big hives of bees stinging people, and just that was one of the things that I read.
Yes, I believe you, sir, and I believe in a kind of a magic, which witchcraft really is, at least the form you're talking about.
Sure.
And I believe there are curses. I believe it is possible to affect people. One person's mind can indeed affect another in a negative way. We talked about that the other night with Brad Steiger, and he said, absolutely. Absolutely. So there are people who practice and play with that power. It is dark stuff indeed. East of the Rockies, you're on the air.
Hi. Yeah, I've got a ghost story for you.
All right, that's what we want. Where are you calling from?
Janesville, Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. All right, go right ahead.
Yeah, when I was about 15 years of age, I lived over in southwestern Minnesota near Pipestone.
Yes, sir.
And they've got an Indian reservation, around that area. And a bunch of friends and I were out camping, and we're kind of around by a small little lake. And during the night, we started hearing, horses and these war cries. And so, we got up, we're out looking around, and we didn't see anything. And I stopped leaning up against a tree to light up my cigarette, and all of a sudden I hear this thump right next to my ear. Well, I took off, all of us scared out of our wits. We don't know what's going on. And the next morning we went back, and I went to the same tree, and I pulled an arrowhead right where I heard it hit.
Wow. You mean it was the thump of an arrowhead hitting?
Yes.
And that's all that was left in the tree was the arrowhead itself, not the...
Right. The arrow had apparently broken off through the ears. And it gets better.
Yes?
We also were, searching around the area, and we found a couple tomahawk heads.
Yes.
A bunch more arrowheads. Actual part of an arrow. And we went and saw one of the tribal men for the Dakota tribe.
Yes.
And they said there was a battle there, and a lot of the Native Americans were slaughtered there.
You know, it was a time flash. I mean, you were in a time flash. They occur. And particularly in areas like that. And for a moment, just an instant, you were part of it.